What's up, everyone? This is Zach with the Libertarian Party of Nebraska, and I am here with Joe Hauptmann. Did I say that right?
It's close enough. When I was teaching, I just had my students call me Mr. H.
Well,
It's Hauptmann,
Hauptmann, man, that's
or
kind
if
of a
you're
tricky
German,
one.
it's Hauptmann,
Ooh,
but the
okay,
American version is Hauptmann.
okay. Normally I would edit out when I can't say someone's name, but that was actually kind of interesting, so I'm gonna leave that in there. So you are running for vice chair of the
That's correct.
Libertarian Party. Um, that's a very contested race right now. It seems like a lot more people are interested in being the vice chair than the chair. What's your background? Because I'm told by other people, because I'm fairly new to the movement, I'm told by other people that you're very active and you've been around for a while doing this. So give people like me who are kind of new to this. What's that?
I said I have been active in the Libertarian Party since 1979, but I
Oh,
have
wow.
been active in libertarianism since 1973.
Okay. So kind of give us a 2 to 3 minute history lesson on you in the libertarian movement, if you would.
Sure. I got introduced to libertarianism when I was a student at Michigan State. I moved into married housing right after getting married, and my neighbor thought it would be interesting to introduce me to another couple because she thought it would be so much fun to watch us fight. It turned out that at the time I was a Republican, ROTC Rangers, president of College Republicans. The other resident of married housing was a McCarthy anti-war Democrat whose father was the president of the Plumbers Union in St. Louis. Within a couple of weeks, we realized we were both libertarians. He was simply coming at it from the left. I was coming at it from the right. The name of that other libertarian was Steve Dasbach, who later went on to become first Indiana chair, then national vice chair, then national chair, and national executive director. I got involved in the party in 1979. I had just graduated from law school, moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Like all young lawyers, thought I could do everything at once. And I knew that Ed Crane was running for office. So I called the National Party, I mean, not Ed Crane, Ed Clark, called the National Party and talked to Ed Crane. And I said, Ed, I'm a young lawyer. I've got a lot of free time because I didn't have any clients. And asked him, can I help with the petition drive? And he said, funny you should ask. And I found myself in charge of the Indiana petition drive. And I said, okay, I need some help. Can you get me in contact with the chair of the Libertarian Party in Indiana? And again, Ed Crane said, funny you should ask. And I found myself, there was a chair. Sally Heisted at the time. Indiana actually, for all of its reputation as a pragmatic state, was actually founded by an anarcho-communist as our chair. And when I took over the party about 3 years later, it was basically the treasury was in a shoebox. And as a young lawyer, I had to quash the bench warrants out for our treasurer, who did not believe in filing government forms as a matter of principle. So we started from there. And the first meeting we held in Fort Wayne, I had a young man come in who said, this is the first meeting I've ever been in with the room, first time I've been in a room full of libertarians where I wasn't alone. We then had a meeting in Indianapolis, where when I said, hi, my name's Joe Hauptmann, what's yours? The most common response was, why do you want to know? And we pretty much built it from there. Currently, Indiana has ballot access. I was the campaign manager for Steve Dillon when we got ballot access back in '94. I was a state chair, I said, in 1980, again in 1998, and again in 2015. So I just basically, I tend to be on the bench until I'm needed. And then I come in and pinch hit, or whatever they call it in baseball. I'm a Cleveland Indians fan. I'm not really not used to knowing much what's going on, except when we were eliminated.
Okay. So I guess that means you feel that this is the time for you to step in and pinch hit. What I don't want to phrase this. What things do you think that the party is doing correctly, and what things would you want to change should you be elected vice chair?
The reason I'm getting involved is I think we potentially are at a period of incredible growth. We have an incredibly disillusioned electorate. And unfortunately, we are spending our time basically fighting among ourselves. I think I can be most valuable because I've had experience in parties at all levels of success. I was involved in a party when we were petitioning to get ballot status. I was involved in the party when we had to win elections to get ballot status. I was involved in the Indiana party when we became one of the first in the country to have paid staff. In Indiana, we elect, although at low levels, partisan councilmen. Indiana does not have nonpartisan races other than school boards. So everything we do in the state is partisan. And yet we have elected members of city councils. We have elected county trustees. We have appointed libertarians all the way up to the state level. I think that I can bring this experience to the party and be of use. As to the vice chair, if you actually look at our bylaws, my job is basically to stand around and wait for Nick to be arrested or killed, and basically to be his gopher. I'm to do what the chair tells me. And I'm hoping he would use me mainly to help build the state organizations, but whoever the chair is in 2018, he decides the scope of the job of the vice chair. Other than that, the vice chair is basically a at-large vote on the LNC, National Committee. I've served on the National Committee before. I'm used to the dynamics. I would be a voice for the party serving the ultimate function of electing candidates. Now, I would also be a voice for realistic expectations. Yes, people win the lottery. And in fact, I nominate for vice president whoever won the lottery in New Hampshire, because that guy or gal's got 500 million and we could use it. Beyond that, like I said, I would be a vote for making the party do the political work. Some people have called that pragmatism. I prefer the disparaging term that Murray Rothbard gave to people like me when he was on the National Committee. He called us envelope stuffers. I believe that we need to put more emphasis on what it takes to actually win elections and having realistic expectations. I've run statewide races. I've run for Congress. In fact, to my knowledge, I still hold the record in a three-way race for House of Representatives in the country when a Libertarian ran against a Republican and a Democrat, which was around 12%. And that was in an unusual race. The Democrat was terrible. And family virtue, family values candidate had just been outed as having a 14-year-old illegitimate son. I still came in third. So my experience has been all across the board, and I think I can bring that to the National Party.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out, you answered more than one question there. I'm trying to figure out where to even segue from that.
I apologize.
Oh, no, that's
I used
great.
to be a teacher, so I'm used to lecturing.
No, that's fine. The less I'm sick right now, so the less I have to talk, the better. What? I mean, I guess the obvious answer is a lot of experience. But other than experience, what sets you apart from the other people who are running for vice chair?
I would say, and it may just be generational, although I consider marketing important and branding important. I think a lot of what we're arguing about is, as William F. Buckley once described conservatives at the beginning of the movement back in the 70s, we're arguing about how to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic. I think our goal is to, or should be, to elect libertarians and to have those libertarians move the country into a position where the government is smaller, less intrusive, less expensive. In my lifetime, we've moved the other way. When the party was started in 72, I was 19. And quite frankly, when you think about it, those were a bunch of young white guys who were fed up with the system. But looking back, if you were a straight white male, that was pretty much the golden age. I lived in Michigan. The drinking age was 18. Marijuana was a parking ticket. You literally they wrote you a ticket and you mailed in your fine. Okay, when I was in college, I actually remember one time a policeman walking by an apartment I was in as we were sorting seeds from the leaves. That's what you use the double albums for in those days. And he looked in the window, looked at us, and basically went, shame, 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 and walked on. That was the world that was so oppressive that we felt we needed to start the Libertarian Party. It has gotten worse, not better. I don't want to leave the world in a worse shape at this point.
So, final thing, make your last sales pitch. Why are you the best candidate for this position?
I believe I'm the best candidate for the position because I can bring experience. I have worked with many different groups over the years, many different factions over the years. I have watched the party go through this cycle, which we are currently in, at least 3 times since I've been in the party. And quite frankly, I want to cut it short. What usually happens is we end up with a convention where somebody gets insulted, somebody gets angry, they walk off, the party shrinks, we start growing, we grow back, and then we complete the cycle again. I don't believe we can grow by subtraction. We have to grow by addition. When I worked on the Gary Johnson campaign, the most energetic, the most committed volunteers were people who had no relationship to the LP whatsoever. I am not interested in getting into ideological arguments that border on the theological. I'm not interested in how many private roads we can build on the head of a pin. I am interested in making this country freer. And in my 30-some years of activism, I'm convinced the Libertarian Party is the best vehicle to do that. And that's why I'm running.
So that was Mr. H. He is running for vice chair of the Libertarian Party. I'm Zach Taylor. Have a great week, Nebraska.